Stay tuned. The show is about.
What's up, Phil? Can you hear me? Yes. Perfect. We're going to start about 20 seconds and, just be you, be organic. I'm going to let you lead in the conversation, and just going to get whatever information we need to get out there. We're going to put it out there. All right. So initially, I'll start off with my Really Charlie song intro, and we'll go from there. All right. All right. I'm ready, man. So um, let's see here. Hey, 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 welcome to the Really Charlie podcast. Today's guest is my man, my friend, Phil Young. And I also want to say welcome to my fireside viewers, also everyone on Facebook and StreamYard. And we're going to talk it up. We're going to, this is what we do on the Really Charlie podcast, just try to get information out there. And, I just, trying this thing with these two streams. I got Fireside to the left of me. I got StreamYard here with my man Phil, and we're gonna talk shop in about 2 seconds, man. So what I try to do on a Really Charlie podcast is to give people their flowers while they're standing, and also I reach out to different people, whether it's an author, a musician, a community activist. And in Phil's case, he's a civic dude, man. He's got his 501c program that he's running, and so we are gonna talk about a few things, and I can't wait. It's a long time coming. I had one of his sons on my show a long time ago, and it was a great podcast. So I know Dad's gonna top his own son, because he got a gift of gab, and he's although his son's story was a magnificent, a lot of things I didn't know. So I am very, very happy to have the son on a couple of years ago, and now I got the old man on it. No, he's not an old man. In my eyes, he's not an old man. So what's going on, man?
Not much, Charlie. How are you, man? And thank you for having me on. And don't forget, you had my lovely wife on. I think it was last week you had
That's
her.
right. Yep, that's right. She was on, and she was definitely a good guest, and I want to have her on again so we can, you know, kind of touch bases on what we talked about, fentanyl and all that. It's very very important as we see in society, across the world. Across, and, we can't just say it's here in the city; it's across the world. It's truly becoming a problem. So, you know, I definitely want to chop it up with her again in studio or like we're doing right now through StreamYard. Um, so I hope everybody on Fireside can hear me. Um, I'm trying to do the best I can here. And it looks like we're all right. All right, Phil. What do you want to talk about? You know?
So why don't you let me give you a little bit of background about me, because a lot of people might not know me. A lot of people do know me, but I'm not originally from this area. I was actually born in Washington, D.C., back in 1963. So, dude, I am old. And during that time, I grew up during the civil rights movement, obviously, and was also part of the desegregation of the school system. They called it busing back then.
Hmm.
Basically, I was one of the first in my generation to go from an all black school to an all white school when they started desegregating the school system. So, seeing that, a lot of racial tension and issues back then,
Hmm.
especially me being Cape Verdean and living in DC. Nobody knew what the hell that was, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
they were like, "What's that?" So
Hmm.
you had to do a lot of explanations back then. But my parents had met back when my dad was in the Navy back in '57 in Newport. So my mom's from Newport, my dad's from Virginia, and then they ended up relocating down to DC. I grew up primarily 4 years in that area, and then up until 1979, I was in Maryland, and then my parents decided to move back up to the Newport area.
Hmm.
Subsequently, I ended up in New Bedford. Well, I had family up here. I had a lot of family. Widows, Morrison, my uncle Johnny had a soda company for years.
Hmm.
Aunt Jeannie worked at UMass Dartmouth, which was SMU back then.
Yes.
Cousin Melissa, my cousin David. So we had I used to come up here every summer, man. And shout out to all the people that I grew up with during that summertime because it was awesome for me, and I made a lot of good friends here. So it was just natural that eventually I ended up kind of settling back in New Bedford as I got older and made it a full time home. So I've been up here since I want to say the mid '80s
Hmm.
when I married Brandon's mom.
Okay.
Um, you have my son Brandon. I have, you know, Jordan, my other son. He's the youngest. Those are my biologicals, and then I have Adam, Frankie, and of course, we'll talk about Andrew in more detail.
Hmm.
I never looked at them as my stepsons. They've always been my sons.
I know the
So,
feeling. I know the feeling.
a lot of yes, you do. So a lot of people, you know, when so now getting to what happened last year was it was a catastrophic event, man. I was at work. I got a phone call from Frankie. I had to talk to a detective, and they patched me into the detective on site where Andrew was
Hmm.
laying, and they found him with he was unresponsive, and he had a partially smoked blunt. If
Wow.
anybody knows my son Andrew, there would be no partially smoked blunt.
No.
Right. So he was going through some personal stuff. He was in a bad relationship, and you know how that goes.
Hmm.
And so that particular night, he had left the house and was in a gazebo under a gazebo. It was raining that day, and he was actually texting Paula, and his phone ended up dying. And so the next morning we get a phone call. I get a phone call. Now I'm beside myself. I'm not really sure what the hell to do because I've never dealt with this, and I really didn't want to tell Paula. But we have a ring camera at the house. Paula saw that there were detectives at the house on the ring camera, and she knew something was amiss.
Hmm.
Um, so I had to tell her, and she was at work, and I'm driving from work
Wow.
with it. And I tell you, man, that replays in your mind over and over again, and there's just some things you can't erase. And so from there, things that a parent should never have to do, we had to do.
Yes.
I had to go to we had to have his body sent up here. And I know this might be a little rough for people, but you know what? There's a message in here, right? So understand where I'm coming from. It is not to get anybody's sympathy, just to really point out this is the dark spot, man. This is the place that we were in and still are, honestly.
Hmm.
Um, so you get that call, then you go to the funeral parlor. You have to have the body shipped up here. And I had to pick out a suit for my son. Me and Paula went to pick out an outfit, and I had to pick out a coffin.
Hmm. That's
You should never have to pick out a coffin for your son
no.
or any of your children, right? And those things become stressors, right? And they they bring a part of you that was always, the way I was taught was, when you bury somebody, you kind of bury your feelings with you know, because we come from that genre, that group of
Mm-hmm.
people that do that. See it all the time. And this was, other than my mom's passing, this was catastrophic.
Uh,
But beside that, what people don't understand as a father, right? You are walking behind your wife. That was Paula's firstborn.
hmm.
Something that a man can't relate to is childbirth, right?
Yes.
And watching her just fall into a million pieces, and then I'm behind her trying to pick the pieces up and put it all back together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, there were times when I heard her cry and my soul trembled. Those are the, that's real talk.
Yes, it
That's,
is.
that's real, Charlie. That's real, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so during that time of grief, we decided to carry on his company, which he had started called Achieve Greatness. Now, there's a backstory to all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I grew up in not so good neighborhoods, not well to do. When I was in D.C., wasn't good neighborhoods. Maryland wasn't good neighborhoods. But basketball was always my counselor besides the Lord, right?
I
So
agree.
basketball became integral to me. And I played all over the metropolitan D.C. area, Virginia, and subsequently, when I went to college, I played intramurals. I got asked to walk on at URI, but I was a knucklehead. I decided to play football instead. That's another whole story. We could do a whole podcast on that one.
All right.
But and then I've been married twice, and actually met Paula through online at Love at AOL. It doesn't even exist anymore, right?
Wow.
So
Wow.
it was that was one of the first, I guess, computer love Gap band. That's what I think of when I
Yeah.
think of Paula. We met online, right?
Yeah.
So we ended up meeting, and then we shared stories. We talked a long time on the phone before we even met each other, and I knew about her three boys, and she knew about my two boys and the situation that I had, and we decided to come together. We were a blended family, right? So she
Yes.
moved from Western Mass to New Bedford. And at the time, I was down the South End on Mosier Street,
Mm-hmm.
and so now I got three kids on mine. Then I get my kids every weekend or every other weekend. And I remember the first time they all met each other, man. And I looked in the mirror and said, "I think you've lost your damn mind." To
Mm-hmm.
myself, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm saying I gotta learn how to. I gotta be able to talk to these kids and figure out, what's the connection. And the
True.
connection was
Yeah.
that they all came from households that weren't whole, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now what we're trying to do, me and Paula, is to bring them together, and that we truly become a blended family, right? And to this day, no matter what the issues were or are, my children, her children, our children call each other brothers, right?
Yes.
Even when they're pissed, and because you've seen it, you've been over the
Yeah.
house.
Yes, I have.
And I'm sure you've probably been to the courts and seen the interactions too, or heard about them. So as we grew together, our greatest counselor became what was my greatest counselor, which was basketball.
Nice.
And so, whenever there were arguments, whenever Paula was stressing because there was too much testosterone in the house,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like, okay, guys, let's go. We're going to the courts because it was cheap. I mean, it
Yes.
didn't cost for basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank God he didn't want to play hockey. But so we would go to the courts, and I would tell them, "This is your time. You can speak, you can swear, you can do whatever you want, but it stays here. Don't tell your mother."
Mm-hmm.
And so we'd be out on the court and literally screaming and yelling and swearing at each other, so much so that everybody would leave. So it was funny because when people used to see us coming, especially over at Pine Hill, they were like, "Okay, let's go. The Youngs are coming."
Mm-hmm.
But it was good because it was an opportunity for us to get it all out. And so basketball, now you follow it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basketball became an integral component of our lives. And so I remember, Andrew and I had a tumultuous relationship. I think
Mm-hmm.
most people, if they're listening or They know about it. Me and Andrew, we had some issues, but I loved him. I
Yeah.
still love him. And what a lot of people don't know, and this gives me the opportunity to share, is that several months before Andrew passed, he and I had a very long conversation. It was about 3 hours.
Hmm.
And it was actually because of Brandon, because I called Brandon for advice, right? I'll
Yeah.
never forget, because I was mad. I'm old and stubborn, and I'm like, and Brandon's like, Dad, you need to call your son. He always said if we had an issue, we could talk to you. He needs to talk to you. And it was the best advice I ever got from my son.
Wow.
And then I called my other son, and we buried the hatchet, man, on so many things, Charlie. I can't even go into it. It was the best conversation that Andrew and I had ever had. And I was really looking forward to us reconnecting when he got back up here, because I knew he was going to come back eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And spend some time together, go down to the bar and have a beer, right? And to have that not happen, a lot of people don't understand. When you lose somebody that's sudden, that's ripped out of your life. That person's ripped from any type of future, any plans, anything that you had. So now that person's gone. And part of that, part of this process, we've lost friends and family and people who said they were there for us and backed away because the grief is too much for people.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. I mean, it's a lot. But at the same time, would we do that to you? Probably not. So, I get where people are coming from. I try to be very sensitive to that. But at the same time, I have to look out for my wife first and foremost, and then my own
Yes.
personal
Mm-hmm.
feelings and right. But I can tell you that we buried the hatchet, and we had started talking again. I found out that imitation is the best form of flattery, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Andrew he had started teaching and coaching basketball. As you know, he had landed a job coaching ball. That was all from what I used to do, right? And
Mm-hmm.
now he's taking it kind of a step further, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. And I found out about Achieve Greatness, and I'm like, man, I like that. And he was teaching basketball skills, all those things that he and I used to talk about and share when we was younger. And that was our counselor. Now he's counseling people using basketball as a method to do that. And so he was really touching on the lives of a lot of young kids and even young adults. And he was trying to make a difference while he was dealing and struggling with his own things. He had been diagnosed with PTSD. He had been in a couple of major car accidents that he showed me pictures of, Charlie, and I don't even know how he survived. And those
Wow.
were times and I had not been talking. So now I'm starting to get a better understanding of all the crap that this guy was going through. And really, really upset that we couldn't have gone further. So, in order to honor them, people can say what they want, right? But nobody's going to come in my face and tell me anything bad about my son
Mm-hmm.
because I wouldn't let anybody do it about any of my children.
Yes.
That's our issues. That's our internal issues. Those are things that they did something to you that I don't need to know about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not here to defend himself. So
True.
the only people that are being his mom and his brothers, right? So what we try to do is we looked at it and said, hey, he started this company. The publisher said, we should do something. I said, well, what about using this company to teach kids basketball skills and actually to do camps, right?
Yes.
And then also to teach about the dangers of fentanyl. And so that's how Achieve Greatness came into becoming a nonprofit. With our board members, our original board members, Lisa and Manny Pedro, they are up in Western Mass.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having some brain farts, and I really couldn't. I was having a struggle to go in and put all the information together because it was just bringing a lot of stuff out.
Yes.
And they did it. They actually filed all the paperwork for me. And I came on a weekend. And I was like, hey, next weekend I'm going to do this. And Manny goes, no, I already did it. So they filed all the paperwork. And thank God they did. And then a couple of months later, actually April of this year, we became official with the 501
Mm-hmm.
C 3C. And So you got to think in the last couple of months we've done quite a bit of chugging along and moving the barometer here. And we've learned some lessons along the way. There's still some things that we need to make some improvements on, but we have a good board. Our remaining people are a lifelong friend of mine from way back, 40 plus years. We've been friends. He's a retired colonel. His name is Byron Freeman.
Hmm.
He lives down in lives down in Virginia. And then I have Rob Delavue as our other board member. And I'm sure you're very familiar with Rob. I've
Yes.
known him. I'm the one that taught him how to play ball. So just so everybody knows how he learned, it's from me. Right? I first met him when he was 12 years old. He was horrible, and he was soft. I can't say that now.
No.
He's done a tremendous job improving, obviously playing ball, but also mentoring kids and bringing young men and women along and really being a fine role model and citizen for our community. So those four, and then Paul and I, we have several members who are also stakeholders. Mark is
Hmm.
helping. Mark has been helping us out from IT. I have my co-worker Jamie Barrows. She's been helping out with Mark, updating the website, um, and we have a couple others too. So the real gist of what we're trying to accomplish here is to bring awareness to the situation of fentanyl, and also to provide kids sort of a safe haven through sponsoring basketball camps. Now, this year it was more of a struggle for us because we were still trying to put everything together.
Hmm.
But there was a couple out on the vineyard who heard our story through a Mike Daniel. Mike Daniel is pretty much a basketball legend too, and he's I think he's assistant director of the Boys and Girls Club out in Martin.
Nice.
And we're going to be going out there on the 26th. I'm sorry, the 25th of August, and speaking. At that event, there's a big tournament out there on that day where they have a lot of schools from Massachusetts. And then this coming Saturday, we actually have our first fundraising event. It's in Monson, Mass, which is Western Mass, not too far from Ludlow.
Okay.
It's a family golfing, mini golf center, and a lot of activities and stuff. We're going to have raffles, T-shirts, and all that stuff up there. So we have a lot going on. But we the thing with the vineyard was this couple heard about our story. They lost their son to some police violence back in 2010, and they started the DJ Henry Dream Fund.
Hmm.
And they, unbeknownst to me, were already providing scholarships for kids for all sports, not just basketball,
Hmm.
dance, equestrian, everything in the state of Massachusetts.
Wow.
And so we met them, and they agreed to partner with us. And what we're doing now is we're going to actually, when you go into our website, once we get everything finalized with them, it'll give a link to their site, which will allow the kids to, or coaches, or whomever, parents, to fill out an application for a camp.
Nice.
The kids to attend. So we're that was a huge blessing for us because that was something that we wanted to do. But as I looked at it, I'm like, I don't think we're there yet. But now this kind of pushes it to the forefront where we can link up and start doing that. Probably again, it won't be much for this year, but definitely for next year, we should have all this set up.
That's real nice because you can, the resources they have and the resources that you have, you can kind of collaborate, get both of them together, and you end up helping out a whole lot more, children, families than not that you expect. You just help out more families, and I just think collaboration is so key, especially when the numbers are coming to you at a high level, and you may need some help.
Oh yeah,
And so when you have other organizations and that can help out or just alleviate some of that pressure, it's good because they're going to offer pretty much the same thing you're doing, but it's just another group of people that are going to help out, and but you, I mean, you and your wife, you're probably just like me. You just have a problem when someone's in need, just to say no. You just can't do it, especially after what you've been through. You just want to be there, some kind of support for anyone, children, a child, a parent, a sibling, whatever it may be. So and that's my. It's I don't call it a problem, but it's something that I just don't know how to say no sometimes, and it may add some more pressure to me, but you know, to me, I'm a big boy, and I can take care of the load, and try to work out things as best I can for somebody. And I get that from you guys. I see how open you are to many people, family and friends, and so But if you need anything from me, I definitely there. I will be there. Um, and as you said, earlier, some people, might have pushed away, because grief is hard to deal with. Grief is hard to see when it's in the expression and the feelings of your friends like you and Paula, and but that stuff doesn't bother me. I've done it many years, and if I have to sit there and all but listen to you, I'll do that. Um, and that goes for your wife too. So, um, achieve greatness 88.org is just something that when I looked at it, you know, before Paul and I's podcast, and I was like, wow, this is put together pretty well, and I gotta say, knowing Andrew, he had a lot of that done, and then you guys added to it. But that was pretty impressive. And just for you to tell me that you have more to do, I can't. I got to give you 4 stars already.
I appreciate it. It's a lot of work, but we want to be able to provide a lot of transparency as well. And so we're going to be Marcus is working on with his brother Isaiah. They're working on an education and awareness package that is kind of making the rounds and behind the scenes right now, so that we can have that as part of our program and to teach kids and parents about the dangers of fentanyl. Um, and the fact that people don't understand it is real that fentanyl is in marijuana, right?
Hmm.
And I remember Paul and I going to the cemetery one night a few months ago, and of course, the Freetown Cemetery, they were desecrating it, so they closed the New Bedford Cemetery, the Pine Grove. And when we went to the gate, there was an officer there, so we started talking to the officer. I can't remember his name, but very nice guy, and he's the one that told me about how fentanyl gets into marijuana. He said they dilute it and they spray the leaf, they spray the plant, so
Yes.
you would never know.
Oh.
And I'm sitting going with my dumb mind because I don't do any of this stuff. What did they do? Sprinkle the powder? And it's not even that. They dilute it and they spray it. You never know.
No.
And it is lethal. And these people that are putting fentanyl in things and pills and candy and all these different shapes, they're not scientists. They're using a synthetic copycat,
Hmm.
and they don't know how much can kill you. And literally, it's 2.5 micrograms can kill you. And that's the tip of a sharpened pencil.
Hmm.
So it's dangerous, and it's best to not take anything from anybody off the street, because you just don't know what you're getting. Because the person that, like Paula had explained to you, I won't beat this horse to death, but Andrew got that from somebody that he knew.
Yeah. It's and wow. I mean, over my lifetime, I've seen it, and it's it's just the people that we all associated with. They know the dangers of what they call in recreational, you know, drugs, and but it's not recreational. This is something that could kill you. This is definitely, you know, uh, it's almost suicide. And you just can't. The only thing is that most of the time I can't even see. Most of the time, the number she said was 300. Was it
300 a day.
day? Yeah, 300 a
Like
day.
crap.
Um, I don't. I mean, I'm thinking of all the people that I seen today. I seen a lot of people today, but it wasn't 300. So all the people I seen today, I'm like, wow, all those people would be wiped out,
Yeah.
and it's crazy. Um, but I just want to definitely, I want to let you know, if you didn't hear it, that I am open to having you on whenever. I don't care if it's every week, once a month, whatever it may be. If there's something that you want to bring to the air, just let me know. And we could do pretty much what we're doing now.
Yeah.
If we had to do it in studio, we can do that. I know Paula had a friend of yours that she wanted to hook up with and maybe have a podcast with him. And I want to do that because
Yeah.
she explained that his knowledge of fentanyl is amazing. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
beyond
He's one of
complete.
our stakeholders.
Nice.
He is a scientist who does all the statistics and gives the CDC gets their stats from him,
Wow.
and he's actually one of our stakeholders. And we're actually using a lot of his information to create these educational packages that we're working on, because he gave us carte blanche to use whatever we wanted on the site. He is a phenomenal human being. His name's Jim Raw, and very nice man. He talks a lot, but I tell you, he's very intriguing when he talks.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the type of people that we have. We have people who are working behind the scenes and giving us information. And honestly, too, so if you look at our mission statement, we really have a three-tiered approach that we're working through. The first is we want to make sure we're focusing on basketball because, again, that was our great counselor. Maybe it'll branch into other sports, especially with the Henry's help.
Mm-hmm.
But right now it's basketball, education and awareness, and then legislation, right? And the legislation piece, we know that we're not going to stop fentanyl. Paul and I have had intimate discussions about this, and we know that the best thing you can do is at least provide education materials to people and talk to them about it, have open discussions, and be very transparent and honest, and pray that these people make the decision not to go and get something off the street because it could be the only time and the last time that you do it, right? And
True.
the other thing is we're seeing that kids as young as 9 years old, man, they're vaping, they're doing all this, and they've had incidents where fentanyl's been in vape pens. It's the number one killer for children between the ages of 14 and 18, right? So people don't understand it's out there. It's not really being talked about much in the news. And then when it is talked about in the news, what do? They say, oh, it's an overdose.
Yeah.
Right? And so a segue into this is that Paula and I went up to the State House with Danny and Lisa, two of our other board members, a few weeks ago. And we met with a couple of senators and a couple other legislators from the House. And, of course, all their support staff. So we were in a room with Democrats and Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
And you could hear a pin drop as we told our story. And they said, well, what do you want? What is it you're looking for? I said, well, the first thing we want is we need to have a differentiate between what an overdose is versus poisoning, right?
Mm-hmm.
An overdose is you took a dose of something and you knowingly said, okay, I'm going to keep doing it because I need to get whatever I'm going to get out of this. I'm not saying you're trying to get high, but it could be for anything.
Yes.
I almost overdosed on Tylenol because I was in pain one time,
Mm-hmm.
and I found out that if you take 2 extra strength in 24 hours, it could be lethal. I never
Wow.
knew that, right?
Wow.
So that's a dose that you've gone over. Now, when you're poisoned, Charlie, you're in the studio, you have a bottle of water, you go to the bathroom, I take something to put it in water, you come out, take a sip, and you're dead. That's not an overdose.
Yeah.
And so what's happening is they're taking all these parents. Charlie, there's a ton of parents, not just parents, but people who have lost people, and they're saying it's an overdose, but it isn't. Because if somebody gives you something unknowingly, you're poisoned, right?
Yep.
And so that's one of the things that we like. And you know, they agreed to that. They knew that that was, they didn't understand it until it was explained. And then, Lisa, one of our board members, she's a nurse, so she can expound on that. But those are the type of comments and perceptions that we have to change, because you're taking everybody and you're putting them all in the same box. And look, whether somebody went and got heroin or coke or something, if it had fentanyl in it, that's still poisoning, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not coming down on people who have been substance abusers or are, right? Because everybody has a story, right? But when a 14-year-old goes somewhere, or goes to a party and says, "Hey, do you have a Motrin?" and somebody gives them a pill, and that pill kills them, that's murder.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the dynamic change. So if somebody gives something to somebody and they know who gave it to that person, then you bring that person in, and you just keep you keep asking questions until it goes up the ladder, or you prosecute them. Think about it. This happened to Michael Williams, man.
Mm-hmm.
The dude that was the actor from The Wire, right? He went to Baltimore, got some bad stuff. It was laced with fentanyl, but they had it on the cameras. And those guys that sold him that stuff, I think it was heroin, that had fentanyl in it, they're all serving time now. I think they got second-degree murder charges on them.
Rightfully so. You know.
So what I'm saying is that that's one of the things, and then the other thing was to try to get some laws passed where that would make it a capital crime if somebody knowingly gave somebody something, and even if they didn't know, at least follow the course, right? And so, from what I understand, there is some legislation that's already gone through the House in Massachusetts, but of course, it's sitting on the Senate floor. It's going through two reviews because of the fact that, well, they always try to put extra stuff into
Mm-hmm.
these policies that they try to put in. But we were told that they're working on it, so I'll take the word on it. The problem is, I'm not going to sit there and keep blasting them and going after them, because I don't want to creep away from our mission. And I'm basketball
Mm-hmm.
and education of fentanyl, and anything that goes outside of that, which my wife doesn't like to say no either, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's mission creep, and we can't afford mission creep because we don't have the boots on the ground for that. We just don't have that type of vernacular right now. Not
Yeah.
saying that it couldn't be, but like, for instance, substance abuse. We don't deal with substance abuse, but we know people who do. So if somebody has an issue, we can at least direct them. We want to focus on mental health, but we don't have the mental health capability, but we know people who do, so we can direct people to mental health facilities or some sort of help. So that's kind of us saying no, but not really saying no, because we
Mm-hmm.
still want to help. And we want to make sure we have the resources. And as far as you helping us, oh, I'm going to reach out to you, brother. We
uh,
have so we have our event this Saturday. Then we have our other event on the vineyard, the 25th, where we're going to speak publicly to the kids and stuff at half. They're going to stop all the games a couple hours in, and then Paul and I are going to kind of tell the story of Andrew and what we're trying to accomplish. And then there's a bike run, and sometime in September that Paul is working on. I'm sure she'll be kicking some information to you on that. And then the big one, our big event, is next March 9th, which is one day to the 2-year anniversary of Andrew's passing.
hmm.
Um, we're doing a fundraising dinner at the Century House in Fairhaven, and so we already contracted Joaquin Santos
Mm-hmm.
and his band. In fact, we're making some temporary flyers right now because we're going to go around looking for sponsors for the whole event. Um, then we have a friend of mine who's a professional magician. His name's Willie Fern. He's out of New Jersey. I've known him since we went to URI, so we're talking back in the 80s. I've known him for a long time.
Wow.
And he's won awards and everything, so he's going to be on the venue as well. And then we have a DJ. Well, you already know who the DJ is, Fresco.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was talking to Brandon yesterday. He goes, "Oh, Dad, that's my boy." And I'm like, "Well, okay, well, you can talk to him." But
Mm-hmm.
actually, he's been great too, because
He
he
is
told us he didn't do
very.
anything. He really believes in what we're trying to do, and I don't like not taking care of people when they take care of me. So I'll make sure he'll get something, right?
Yeah.
But he's been great. Joaquin, those guys have all cut the rates down significantly. I mean, it's been crazy. And so even with the even at the Century House, we're going to have different meals, but Andrew liked that. It's a bacalhau dish that he liked. So
Yeah.
we're going to have that as one of the signature meals,
Mm-hmm.
kind of memory of our son. So that's going to be a crazy event. And I'm actually looking forward to it. I told Paula, I said, well, I've lost about 45 pounds in the last couple of months, Charlie. So I said, well, I'll have another 40 by then. I'm going to be dancing all night.
Yeah,
So
you
all those proceeds will go to achieve greatness. And again, setting up, we'd like to set up some partnerships with the local Boys and Girls Club, obviously the YMCA locally, so that way we can help underprivileged kids that need, monies for memberships and what have you there too.
True.
So more to come on that. But right now we're focusing on the camps for basketball, but eventually it'll lead to other greater things we're hoping.
I know it will. I know it will. I'll definitely be at a few of those events. Not all of them, but I definitely will be at most of them. And definitely, if you can, you know, sometimes you just need a little extra cash, and if I could send something, I'll do that for each and every event. I'll share whatever I can, and when I see it that it's posted, to get the message out there that these events are going on.
Every little bit helps, and you can donate on our website. We have PayPal or
Okay.
you can use a credit card. Anything helps. We have a fundraising event. It might be closed now, but I had done a fundraising event on Facebook. So all those proceeds are really to go pay for these things, and then eventually that money that comes in. Right now, none of our people are taking a salary. Nobody's taking anything. It's all volunteer, and everything that we get goes right back out. Right. So
Good. Very
that's
good.
one that we're working on because we have to update the site. I want people to know, again, being transparent.
Mm-hmm.
We're not taking money for things that we're doing. We're actually, everything's coming out of pocket right now. And that's to be expected. So we're okay with that. And then we want to make sure that people understand that none of our board is paid. Everybody who's doing this has actually had some sort of relationship with Andrew, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's near to everybody's hearts, and I'm very appreciative. I know Paula is too, of the people, the men and women on our board. And the beauty of it is all different colors.
Yeah.
We're very diverse.
It's just like your family, right? Well blended.
You know that, man.
I love it. I love it. All right. I'll share everything that I can. Definitely put the news out there. I want to pay a lot of attention to the site and share that constantly. So I have to create something. I don't know if you created a video or anything, but if I can create something short through everything that you have on your website, I'm gonna try to add that to my YouTube channel. But I'll do everything I can. I won't be misquoting anybody because anything that I put is coming from the website. So
Right.
I can at least do that part. Um, as
That'd
far
be
as
great, man.
social media, let's do this again. I'm definitely on your schedule, so whenever you want to do this, you or Paula or both, or anyone else, just get in touch with me. And we're only a message away, phone call away, and we can definitely do this as much as you want.
Thank you. I appreciate you, man. I really do.
All right, I appreciate you. All right, Phil, I want you to have a good night. You need me, give me a holler. And the Really Charlie podcast is your home if you need us at any point.
Thanks, Charlie. I appreciate it, man. God
All
bless
right. God bless you. Take care.
you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
This all right, that was my guest, Phil Young from AchieveGreatness88.org. Definitely great man, comes from a great family. Him and his wife are just amazing people ever since I met them since day one. And thank you for everyone on Fireside that joined us. I appreciate it. On Fireside, I attached the website on Fireside. Please, if you have some questions, information that you need on AchieveGreatness88.org, just click on that link, and there's so much stuff. Mission statement, just like Phil said, there's many things there, and they're just trying to help out the kids, just like everyone else is. Basketball, education, about fentanyl, and so any question, feel free. You can email me, and I'll definitely be that middleman. You can email me at reallycharliepodcast at gmail.com. That's reallycharliepodcast at gmail.com. And any questions you have, I can just kind of forward it to them and definitely get your answers, the answers you need. All right, everyone. I will leave this podcast, and I'm going to end with my favorite song from Peter Lionel Walker, a Really Charlie intro song. And I will be back on Tuesday on WNB1 Radio, the Really Charlie podcast. We have a few guests. I have the Groovalados that are going to be on, local band in the city, and they're definitely going to be on. And I think I'm booked for now until the end of August. So definitely have some great guests. That's Tuesday nights on WNB1 Radio. Add it to your devices, whether it's Apple or Android, and listen to some great music. There's hip hop, R&B music, and great podcasting shows, sports shows, the podcast. We have the Wind Down podcast, straight to the point, sports talk, and myself. So, all right, everyone. Thank you. And you all have a good night, and God bless.
It's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Bumping through your broadcast, grab a chair, fill your glass. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Bumping through your broadcast, grab a chair, fill your glass.